Welcome into another great conversation. I'm already calling it great because I've had some wonderful experiences with Wendy Barr. She is one that's very dynamic, and I love inquisitive people, and she's very inquisitive, and I'm inquisitive. And I can remember the reason why I want her here today is because she really does have a very expansive mind when it comes to a lot of things around business, around AI. I love her professionalism, but she's also spunky and fun. I think a vivacious woman, and that always means a yes for me, inviting people in. Just a reminder, we are about hashtag speaker locking arms. I'm always looking to be able to sit with somebody and really see their bigger picture, their bigger why, so that you get the information to help translate for you. If you're in business or you're dealing with things personally and you're just trying to get out of your day to day stuff, and you're like, how can I break through that? I know Wendy Barr, we're going to have a lot of fun here, and I'm just going to be asking questions after questions, which Wendy's like, "What you're interview every day?" I'm like, "You're an interview person." I'm like, "Yeah, I can't get out of it. I think I was born with this little this little tick, I guess." But Wendy Barr, welcome in.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, Rhonda.
I really am excited to have been able to spend time with you. It's probably almost 3 months ago, something like that, 2 months ago. And it was really wonderful to be in your energy and the love you have in life. And I really say a lot about your character because to me, I haven't met too many people like you with the energy that you have just by being in your space. So I'm gonna give you a
Aw,
warm welcome here and the stuff that you're doing. But again, yes, welcome in today.
yay. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Wendy Barr has spent her career in rooms where iconic brands get built, from MTV and RCA Records to Miramax and Rockefeller Center. She knows what makes a brand unforgettable and what makes it invisible. Now she brings that same expertise to women entrepreneurs around the world as founder and CEO of Women's Business Link and an AI marketing strategist. She helps powerhouse women build bold personal brands, show up strategically on social media, and grow global businesses through authentic connection and AI marketing strategies. She holds a master's in branding and marketing, and she has spent years helping entrepreneurs own their story, step into their role as a thought leader, and build marketing that feels human, approachable, and utterly unforgettable. I love it. Wendy Barr.
Fun.
How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. I mean, the sun's shining, the birds are tweeting, there's a squirrel out there eating the nuts I left out there. Like, what could be better? Seriously.
And I love the way just this conversation is starting because I know there's just so much things going on with AI and business and personal life, and it's really wonderful to understand that stuff because that's the stuff that's happening in real life. But I really feel like we're building something when we bring community together and we're talking about all the things that are working and knowing what's out there, but knowing when we come together, there's a certain energy that keeps building. And I believe this world
Sure.
needs that. Can you add on from your experience and just kind of partner with me on this? Because the work that you do, I mean, you're working with leaders, and I can feel your energy with all your expertise around all this, especially the stuff with schooling and how you really support women leaders and people out there that's doing stuff. How are you feeling right now that the what's happening out there to what you're really building and how that really powers up people to feel like they're safe? Maybe, like, what are the words that you would express in what you do?
Well, one thing I love about the Women's Business Link is we have a motto, and that is that no woman should be left behind. And so we have a global reach. So that means that we're reaching women all over the world in countries that may or may not be able to afford a membership, for example, or that might have a more difficult time finding clients, or which seems to be the common piece all over the world, is women having the resources that they need to build, grow, and scale profitable businesses. And then I think that the piece of how AI comes in is that AI can really help us be so much more productive. We can, we can write content, we can repurpose content, we can batch content. There's so much we can do, and we can do it very quickly.
Yeah.
But what I think Women's Business Link does really well is that once you've done all of that and you have a little bit of extra time, what do you do with that time? Well, human connection, that's the piece. So, networking, speaking on stages, appearing on podcasts, it allows you the freedom to start really stepping into your role as a thought leader.
I feel all that you're saying. I know when I got into my business, and for some years I was way in my way, and I'm speaking for you out there that feel like this, like everything that Wendy you're saying, it's like it feels great, but there's still some times that you're still getting in your way and you're sabotaging yourself. And so I noticed that I really wasn't a beacon, a light. There was things that were holding me back. I wasn't fully in my light, and I was questioning myself, and I was letting all these interpersonal relationships that I had to learn to align also to be able to be presentable in how I felt, and to be able to be a beacon so that I could do very well in every room, in relationships, knowing that it's not sales, that it is having these great conversations and the connection. And that's what builds business and friendships and income in your business and support and all those things. What is it that you are finding when you're working with these leaders or people that are coming in leadership? What is getting in their way when they're in all these great rooms, but they're missing something there?
Mhm.
What is it that you're finding as you've been
I'm
working
glad
in
you
your
asked.
community?
You already hit on it. The interesting thing, what I really notice with most entrepreneurs, especially business women, is that we do try to show up all buttoned up and the way that we feel um, that society expects us to show up. And what happens oftentimes is we forget who we are as a brand. We forget what we stand for. We forget what's meaningful to us. We forget what's important to us. And we put that on the back burner. So what's happening is that if we don't talk about it, we're not actually building our own personal brand. We're just blending. So then you don't stand out. And then you don't get the attention that you need to build, grow, and scale your profitable business.
Yeah.
So I think personal branding
Mm.
is the first step. And oftentimes, and what I find is that personal branding seems to be the most difficult step, right? But it
Yes.
is our foundation. But we're afraid to get out there and speak our truth because what if somebody doesn't like it? And then, yeah, what if it doesn't resonate with somebody? Or what if you alienate a whole community because of the way you feel and the way you think? And
Mm.
this is what I have to say is that you absolutely and positively cannot say the right thing to the wrong people. And you cannot say the wrong thing to the right people.
I love that, my friend. I almost said sweetheart because it just felt like we were in this deep connection. Because
I love you
personal,
too, Rhonda.
it's like you're just sweetness to my ears. It's that scared factor of, and I think of it as health and wellness because everything just tethers together. And the more that we can speak, because it's going to come to a question, but the more that we can speak into who we are and discovering who we are, then suddenly that light opens up. Can we go in there a bit deeper? And you've been doing this for years. What are some of the things that you're finding that that you're noticing, maybe a string of things that people normally aren't really sharing about themselves that you're noticing? And how do you allow them in the space to feel safe based on just your community and you being able to see and hear
Yeah,
each
that's a
other?
great question. I think that again, we want everyone to think that we're so buttoned up. So For
Yeah.
example, aging and what that feels like, and how different seasons of your life, it might be aging, or it could be that or it could be that you're pregnant. It could be that you're raising small children. It could be that you're an empty nester all of a sudden. But those personal pieces, we have a tendency to not talk about that because it's just, yeah, because we feel vulnerable. Sometimes it makes us feel weak, even, and we're not.
Yeah.
And the other piece is that piece of how successful our business is. So we have a tendency to not ask for help because maybe our business is struggling. Maybe we can't seem to connect with our ideal client. Like we're just not, people are coming our way, but they're not right for the business, or they're saying no, and we're not selling and we're not making money. But we don't want anybody to see us as weak or as unsuccessful. So we play it off where, well, yeah, we're doing fine. And what happens is you don't get the help that you need. You don't find the resources that you need. And also people can tell that you're not being yourself.
I feel that the nervous system speaks so much. Like sometimes you don't know why you feel uncomfortable with what
Mhm.
you're saying or what somebody else is saying, but that nervous system, like I know that we're all energy beings, and so you can kind of feel like, man, this person is like nice, like they're saying great things, but then there's just something that's kind of like they're holding back,
There,
or you're holding back, and you're like, and you're trying to get in this conversation, and I
yeah.
like that gap that you were saying right there, because I want to go over the bridge of like starting to feel more wholesome, so we can talk about just global and stuff of how you truly are affecting people and the stuff that you're doing. So if I come back over here just for a moment, can we speak more about vulnerability, being afraid to be in vulnerability, and that supposedly that's a weakness, and how you feel about that? What I know that you see this in a whole big light because you've been doing this, and I know that you can see people. What is it? Is it really a weakness when you're in vulnerability? What is that you're noticing in the industry as you're doing your work? Is it really a weakness?
Well, don't you agree that change is the only constant?
If you, yeah, I mean you can hold on to it and fight it, but it still changes for some. Don't. But yes,
Right. So
everything
change.
changes and
So
flows
that,
better if we.
I mean, it's going to change, and I think that we have a tendency to be like, I know from my own personal experience. Now, I've owned 7 businesses in my life. Okay, I've owned everything from a branding and design agency to
Mm,
a hip hop nightclub and a record label. All right, so one thing I can say is that running a business, being an entrepreneur, is a monumental challenge. But you will see influencers online talking about how it's so easy breezy to be an entrepreneur, and they're
yeah.
taking fancy vacations and getting mani pedis and making more money than they've ever made in their lifetime. And all I can say from my experience is that there's an ebb and a flow,
Mm.
and that we need each other. And so if you alienate everybody by not being yourself, by not being your true identity, life happens. Marriages break up, and you move, and parents die, and things happen, and if you're not yourself, people are going to feel it energetically. And then what's going to happen is you're not going to reach the people that need you the most.
There's something about that. I really am into this thing that just came up one day about the hashtag speaker locking arms. Every time we open our voice, and if we're really not showing up as
Mhm.
authentically ourselves, we're usually blaming and shaming ourselves. There's probably other words there too. When you're in that space, I know it's like that vulnerability. It feels like it's weak, but that weakness means that I believe we're just in that space of blaming and shaming ourselves, because if we stand in that and feel the ebbs and flows and know that we have support around us, because you keep yourself open, and if you're spiritual, we can even go into that layer too. I mean, just there's just so many things that are available for you. I remember when I used to cry, it would be something where it was like, you're weak. And I just kind of felt like this, this thing
Totally.
looking at me, just doing that. But I know that what you're talking about and partnering with you on this is being an entrepreneur. It is not for the weak. It is not for you pushing yourself down because you're only going to get so far. You're really not going to show yourself. You're not going to be able to build. What are some of the things that you help with? I know there's probably some strategies and things we could talk about to help somebody see and feel that it's wonderful to be vulnerable. Yes, it's scary. Everybody deals with it, and you're going to be crying your eyes out. You're going to be elated, like you're going to look like bipolar sometimes because you're like, you're going up and down like that. What is it? So what are some of the tools that ground you or that you help others that you say, let's just sit with a couple of these things and help you just kind of feel it out so you can work through some of this and truly see yourself?
Well, I think that, and again, when we're talking about personal branding, a piece of that is figuring out who your ideal client is,
Hmm.
your dream client, not just the low-hanging fruit, right? Like I can, I can work with 50 of these people, but I'm not enjoying it. I don't feel like they're really tapping into, my unique potential.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about your dream client, the one that they really needed you, and on some level you needed them too. I tell this story sometimes when I'm speaking on stage, so I'll share it with you real quick. I had a client that asked me, how she could connect with her ideal client, and I asked her, "Well, what is your ideal client's deepest desire? Like, what is it that she really wants?" And this client was a weight loss coach, and
Hmm.
she said she wants to lose weight. And I said, "What's her deepest desire?" And she said, "Oh, to fit in her skinny jeans." Well, it was really interesting, right? Because at the same time, I had another client that was really overweight at the time. And she told me in a heart to heart conversation, don't worry, she said I could share this, but in a heart to heart conversation, she told me that her and her husband were going to take their grandkids to Disneyland. And I said, "Oh, that's fantastic. How exciting, how fun." And she said, "No, it's not." And I said, "Well, why not?" And she said, "Wendy, I can't fit on the rides.
Wow.
Like, I can't keep up with the kids. I'm going to spend the day sitting on a bench." Right? Like, it breaks my heart that I don't get to be part of this family, that I'm missing out on these opportunities and experiences. So I
Yeah.
went back to the other client of mine and I explained that. And I explained to her that in order for us to really serve, we have to understand what our ideal dream client is struggling with. What are the, what are the ramifications of either getting or not getting their problem solved?
Yeah.
Like, are we really thinking about the outcome, the transformation we provide, or are we just going, you're looking at the demographics? I work with women from 35 to 60 that, have an income level of such and such that need to lose weight so they can fit in their skinny jeans. Well, if you cap it there, then you're missing out on all the people that actually need you.
Yeah. And I can see from the question I had to your story that like once you really open yourself up, you really start seeing the overall picture that those layers start pulling away where you can truly go
Truly.
deeper than I just want to fit in skinny jeans because perhaps they're not bringing in the people that they know they could be working with because they can see those people, but they're not pulling the emotional layer off of them so they can actually see what their digital personal branding is. With
Oh,
this
good point.
information and how you work, if everybody felt like they could literally be in their authentic space, and it doesn't mean 100%, it means, getting better and better. What is your feeling about what you're doing out there in the world and how you're helping your community? And the question comes from again, there's so much stuff going on out there. We really do want to have community. I'm starting to hear more and more people talk about this. And it's the safety in numbers and people feeling like there's a lot of positive stuff going on. And that really helps the mindset and the flow and building business, building your health and wellness, building everything. But what is it that you get to do out there globally? Like what you're saying, that's where you're able to capture all throughout the world what you're doing with different women.
Human connection, right? Because I really think that if you can really dial into who you are and the energy you're bringing to the table, your next step is getting out there and interacting. And the Women's Business Link offers a networking event every single month where we bring women from all over the world together.
Nice.
And we uniquely make sure that no one leaves without a new connection. You will definitely have a connection when you leave. And something about the community and, you know, the women that are in this community are so giving and so inspiring and
Mm,
so willing to work together. So then this community is actually doing business together. So not only are they referral partners and business besties and clients for each other and mentors for each other, they are actually out there interacting and doing business together. And that makes me feel so good in my heart because I know that it's resources and connections that will help move their businesses forward.
yeah. It's that safety. I feel so beautiful being a woman. And it's not on the exterior, but I feel like it's showing on the exterior more because there's like this growth. Like for 4 months now, I've been going through a really big change. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I love being a woman. And I know when I was younger, I kept trying to be a man. It was like masculine and like nobody can touch me if I, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I did notice 16 years ago when I started, when I started doing this stuff and been running the podcast for 9 years. And I'm like, I think we need more authenticity and not as much showmanship and really being able to feel our heart and communicate. Wendy, you are to me again a very special woman. I really haven't I meet dynamic people, but you remember how many questions I was asking you? I didn't even know it because I was just in your space and you have a big variety in your background. You are just so infectiously fun. What is it
Aw.
that you're learning throughout owning businesses? What are you learning about yourself? And what are the things that you feel that you authentically are breaking through? And of course, to get to the next layer of everything tethers together income, relationships, building your community, your personal relationships. I know that everything of what you're doing is just kind of building upon itself to have more harmony in your life. So, what is
Truly.
that you're experiencing that you've been learning throughout? Because something there I'm feeling I want to ask, and then what right now you're just kind of having some breakthroughs to help be the leader that you are.
You know, a lot of people ask me what the difference is between branding and marketing. And I know that's not what you asked me,
But I
but
know you'll get there. You go for it, my friend.
well, branding, well, let's start with marketing. Marketing is a push tactic, okay? It pushes for an end result, a sale, an outcome. And branding is a pull tactic. See, it's so easy. Branding pulls your ideal client, pulls your public, your community to you organically.
Yeah,
And so you can't have effective marketing without having standout, spot on branding. And again, this is the area that most entrepreneurs skip right over. And one
it's the
time,
hardest.
it is. And one time I asked ChatGPT um, this question, and I urge you to try this. After you've been working with ChatGPT or Claude and you've had an opportunity, or Gemini, whatever, and you've had an opportunity to really teach that AI assistant who you are as a brand, ask that AI assistant, based on what you know about me, what are my biggest, what's holding me back? What are my biggest barriers to success? And what ChatGPT told me was that I underestimate my value
Mhm.
and my experience. And honestly, I think a lot of women do. I think that we undervalue what we bring to the table. And as a result, we end up playing really small
Yeah.
because it's, like you said, safe. We got to be, if we stay over here, we're not going to get knocked down. We're going to be safe. We're going to be in a very controlled environment. But if we like step into the spotlight, we put on the crown and we say, hey, I am the queen. So I tried to downplay my innate plus I have a master's degree in branding and marketing, right? So I tried to downplay that, like the branding piece, and just what do people want from me out there? They want to learn marketing. Okay, so I'll teach you marketing. But the truth is, in every one of those sessions, I had to teach them branding because you can't have effective marketing without branding. And
Yeah.
I think I really downplayed that, and my experience working with all those iconic brands.
And that is so good to know, because that just means, because I know from the time that you started into this business world, which I think is a very young age. Have you always been a business owner pretty much your whole life?
When I can I can I be completely open on fresh talks? Can I get fresh? So
Woman, you better get fresh and you better talk about global vision at the same time. Let's open it up.
when when my when I was a kid, maybe 12, my mom was an entrepreneur and so was my grandfather.
Oh,
And my mom owned a head shop. Do you know what that is? Because most people, especially young people, probably don't know what that is. But that is a shop. This was like back in the 70s ish.
yeah,
That was a shop where you could buy um, paraphernalia with which to smoke your weed.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So they didn't sell weed there. That's legal now, but it wasn't back then. But you needed a place to go and buy all your stuff. Well,
yeah.
I would work there at 12 on the weekends and I would teach people how to work a bong, for example, or how to roll a very tight joint, right? Like I'm 12. I think that,
This is a great story. I knew we are going to get some good stuff out of you.
I think that was that, the whatever she was selling, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The interaction with the customers,
Mm,
the making sales on my mom's behalf at 12, like
yeah.
being able to tap into what the buyer wanted emotionally
Yeah.
was that started really just forming, I think, in my young mind, like I can do anything. I remember going door to door and selling macrame pot hangers. I I've always had that in me.
Yeah.
I gave art classes. I must have been maybe like 14. I'm like, I'm gonna show, yeah, like I always had that in me. I
Yeah.
wouldn't call myself a serial entrepreneur because that makes me think of Marjorie Post, but because she sells cereal. But I've been an entrepreneur for much of my life.
And it really is everything we talked about. I mean, I think we captured it here, Wendy. Let's make sure we got this. So we're talking about getting to know yourself more. Take off your mask so people actually really get to know you. And don't try and put a mask on because you think this person wants to hear something from you different than that person, because you want to make sure people are stepping away that are not your ideal person. Don't be bringing in those people that really kind of don't want to be with you once you start really working with them. And then there's this whole other thing that happens with it. And then
Yep.
also, what I hear also is like really understanding your stories like a timeline to really see the true authentic you, because all of that really does display like right away. I know that you're very comfortable talking about with somebody that wants to work with you, and you're not in this space of like, oh, it's sales. You're like, I really need to understand what they need, what they want, and the love on that you're able to do that. And then how that actually translates for people that are in your community, because the community person that's saying, hey, I'm bringing these people together, this is what we're doing, that vibe goes down in and trickles down to everybody because this is the space you're holding. So then the
Sure.
people within your community, which you've been talking about, they are feeling like they understand business. It's comfortable, that they love each other because we love each other as women. And you are a powerhouse. We're going to let you step into that deeper than ever. I'm just going to keep saying this, but you are a powerhouse, and it helps them feel like from that first energy cycle, that base, like where the money really can get you and tighten up your hips and all that, but it opens up the body to be able to see all these beautiful women. Like I said, these past 4 months, everything I'm saying is authentically, truly in love, because I love being a woman. Like this is all new. I'm like, months ago, you wouldn't have heard me say this as much, but it's so new. I love that you're taking care of women. We really need you out there and to be able to build. And Wendy, perhaps at some point you and I can talk as Fresh Talks Global Vision and what you're doing with your community and the human experience you're giving, that humanitarian space that you hold. Because my vision is so big about, it's not just me, but it's people like you that know how to love on people. And the people that are watching why I'm holding the space before we get to hear last from Wendy and the things we want to sum up here. But we want to feel safe in this world. We need more Wendy Bars out there. We need people. If you don't know how to do sales very well, find somebody to help you. Go to Wendy, because we're focused right here on you. And who more knows about being very young, sitting and understanding how to put um, marijuana paraphernalia stuff that really at 12 you really didn't know a lot about, but you understood, I know how to work this and that. I'm comfortable even though I'm not doing it. I'm not displaying anything except I know you need this, this, and this, and you don't have any emotional charge on it. You're really trying to sit with somebody and say, what do you need? There's not many people out there that
Yes.
have that experience. So I appreciate you, my friend. Anything else you want to add in? I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing what you're breaking through, because that in itself is taking the mask off and being authentically yourself, and an invite from us that I really do want to talk about this humanitarian project and what you're doing, because you have one going, my friend.
Yes, thank you. And Rhonda, I just want to say that you are a powerhouse and that this platform that you've created and this space that you've created for entrepreneurs, for women to speak authentically from their hearts, because you really create that kind of a space. I don't remember the last time I shared that story about when I was 12. So the fact of the matter is that it's because of you. You are amazing. You are warm. You are wonderful. You have a way of creating a safe space where a woman can be seen and heard.
I care about you. I know that you said that women really, that we really want to be seen and heard and loved on. You said so many different ways. You didn't just say it once. We need to be around more people like us. We really do.
Yes.
Because for you to say that, it warms my heart. It really makes my day today. I know we all have our ups and downs. And a couple days ago, I was being cracked and and like opened up, and it was wonderful because it was the worst pain I felt. But within a few hours, it was the best I ever felt. And that's what we were talking about. The dichotomy is that you're not weak when you cry. You're not weak when you're vulnerable. You are a badass when you allow yourself to do that. Oh, everything.
Yes, you are all encompassing.
It is so, because I want
Yes.
I want everybody out there to know, keep cracking and flowing through your emotion. Crack it. Let it flow. say crazy things like these big, goals that you want, because we need women out there that are badasses. Thanks, Wendy Barr, for being here. And I want to invite you another 6 months, but I also want to talk to you about your humanitarian women expression that you have going, because our communities will want to come together and play. I have a feeling in the way of talking about hashtag speaker locking arms and stop the blaming and shaming, and whatever you hold in this space to be able to really talk about this. I think the world needs it more.
Me too. Me too. Thank you
No,
so much. I really appreciate you.
thank you. Fresh Talks Global Vision.
Yeah.
Here is another good conversation. Come back to it again. Start from the beginning. Get your journal, and you've had some breakthroughs that I want you to write it so you can actually see it, because you can leave here and feel good because we're all in woman love and having that experience together. But Wendy Barr really gave it. She really let it go, and it's really cool. But you want to be in that experience because it's a safe space. This is where you're going to find yourself open and wanting to have more conversation within yourself. If my subconscious and all of a sudden things start happening, I can feel it breaking me down, I actually talk out loud. And I go, no, I'm not that. No, and it just helps. It helps break when your ears are not really hearing it, but your brain is like, so do all crazy things, because that means you're very strong. Love you. Bye-bye.
Love you too. Bye.